Getting into the very big breaking news of the day, we're just going to jump right into this conversation. If you have not already heard about it, it has come out per Adam Schefter that the reigning MVP, Aaron Rodgers, no longer wants to be in Green Bay, and apparently he's been relaying this to them the entire offseason. Now, it is no surprise to anyone that he's been disgruntled. Obviously, this stems all the way back to the NFL draft from last year when Aaron Rodgers was very optimistic that they were potentially going to bring in a wide receiver. You know, people felt they were like a piece or two short in the playoffs the year prior, losing into San Francisco, and then they ended up drafting and trading up, not even just drafting, but trading up for Jordan Love in the first round last year. And then on top of that, they ended up being just a few plays short of making it to the Super Bowl again this year. And the frustration from that, you know, just deciding to not really bolster, it was pretty much the same team. And Aaron Rodgers just played on another level, whether he played on with a chip on his shoulder or not. I mean, who's to say really, but he played the best football you could have asked from a quarterback. He won the MVP. He was the best quarterback this past season, without a doubt, in my opinion. So from Adam Schefter, we'll go over the tweet real quick here. I'll pull it down at the bottom of the screen for you guys to see. Adam Schefter himself said, reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers is so disgruntled with the Green Bay Packers that he has told some within the organization that he does not want to return to the team, a league and team source told ESPN earlier today. That is huge because, you know, up until this point, no one really understood why Aaron Rodgers did not have a deal settled with Green Bay yet. Green Bay has kind of come out here and there. Gunta Kuntz the other day was saying that Aaron Rodgers is our guy, and I brought this up during what was it, on Monday's show. I was saying, you know, he is their guy for at least the foreseeable future, like within the next couple of years or so. And I said that keyword, those couple of years, in that statement. That didn't sit well with me because when you think of that, couple means two by definition. And when you look at his contract, it ends in a couple of years. So it felt like, okay, maybe they really aren't committal and they're just saying this stuff to maybe appease Aaron Rodgers. But it sounds like this hasn't even been remotely appeasing him in the least. On top of that, apparently the Packers have been aware of his feelings and they're concerned with it. They've sent out Mark Murphy, GM Brian Gutekunst has gone out there, and head coach Matt LaFleur have all gone out and had personal one-on-one sit-downs, spent time with him to discuss, you know, the team and just kind of where they are and everything. And it just seems like Rodgers has stood his ground the entire time and has been flat out just, you know, no, I do not want to come back to Green Bay. It's been reported that the Rams tried to trade for him before they went after Matthew Stafford, some other teams. There was a report earlier today that kind of came out of nowhere in left field, and it seems like this has kind of spun into the news that we're talking about right now, and we'll get into it a little bit more later, but the 49ers were calling on Wednesday about him, so it seems like, you know, everyone's obviously understood how disgruntled Aaron Rodgers is, but it seems like there's even more to how disgruntled he actually is. And this is just unbelievable news, if you ask me. All the networks are going nuts about it. Apparently, you know, Rodgers has been unhappy with a variety of reasons, obviously the draft being one of the big pieces of that. On top of that, apparently the Packers have tried to extend the contract of Aaron Rodgers. This is from Adam Schefter himself. So apparently Green Bay has been reaching out, and again, Rodgers has just stood his ground and flat out been like, no, I don't want to come back to Green Bay. And with everything that's gone on, I mean, I feel like I'm like firing a million miles a minute right now because I'm like trying to wrap my head around this all. You know, they have not committed to Rodgers the way they've needed to. And when I say that, I mean just building a legitimate team around him that he can thrive with. All they have on the offense is Davante Adams and Aaron Jones. And granted, Davante Adams, arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league. Aaron Jones is a fantastic fit for the system they have there. And playing in that system, he had 17 touchdowns the year prior to this past season. So he was a fantastic back as well. But outside of those two pieces, he's throwing to, you know, to third string and fourth string wide receivers who are playing in the spots that they shouldn't be. And on top of that, I mean, their tight end position, Robert Tonyan, I mean, yeah, was he solid for them? But I'm on the side that I believe Aaron Rodgers elevated Tonyan and made him look better than he actually is. So, you know, I can understand his frustration. They were so close to making it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Obviously, the defense came up really short. Everyone thought that they were going to kind of reload and retool the defense going into that last year's draft. That obviously did not really, I mean, they did some changes schematically and things like that, and the defense did improve, but they were also missing a piece or two on the offensive side. They didn't go after that, and I don't think that they went after defense as well as they should have, because ultimately they ended up losing the playoff game to the Bucs this year, 31-24. Your defense still allowed 31 points in that championship game, and at the end of the day, defense does win championships. That's literally, that adage is as old as the NFL is, it feels like at this point. A couple other things that came up, though. Something noted by Ian Rappaport. He said himself, "Here is my understanding of the Aaron Rodgers situation," and this was him on Twitter. "Rodgers and the Packers have been negotiating a long-term contract offer, and they've been working on it for weeks. Rodgers has been unhappy at times during the negotiations, and no deal is done, and he's not happy about it right now." That's not completely the quote-unquote, but if you want to go on Twitter and see what he said, you can definitely find exactly quote for quote, but I mixed a few words up here and there. And then on top of that, he also went on to say, over the last month, Aaron Rodgers had his agent Dave Dunn fly out to Green Bay for several days of meetings to work through the situation. Rodgers refused to restructure his deal, and that, to me, I mean, he's the most valuable player in the NFL. I don't really see how you can go to him and force him to restructure his contract and take away money from him. He literally just won the MVP award. On top of that, he wanted an extension. Teams called knowing he's not happy. Green Bay has rebuffed everybody that has called them. And then on top of that, they offered an extension eventually, but no deal. And I feel like by the time they finally got an extension out to him, it was probably just too late. I mean, what a mess. I said this the other day when I was talking about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers on Monday. And I mean, again, just what a mess. You have the best quarterback in the league last year. He was the MVP. Say what you want about everybody else. He played that position better than everybody else in the league. And somehow you're in this situation where you have him wanting to leave and you can't commit to him. You can't build a team around him. I just don't get it. I do not understand this whole situation. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst told ESPN, apparently after this all came out, "As we've stated since the season ended, we are committed to Aaron in 2021 and beyond. Aaron has a vital part of our success, and we look forward to competing for another championship with him leading our team." Well, based off of everything that's going on, I really don't know if that's going to be the case. But, I mean, this leads us to so many questions because Green Bay is saying one thing, but their actions are saying another. It sounds like Aaron Rodgers has just been flat out telling them no for God who knows even how long now at this point. I mean, what a shitstorm you've got to say this whole thing has turned into. So a few of the questions I just kind of put together because I want to think these out with you guys here. What does this mean for Green Bay? What the heck did they do? I mean, and on top of that, who leaked this? Those are the first two things that really came to my mind here. As far as leaking goes, I almost feel like this came from Green Bay because the GM had a response ready to the whole thing, like off the cuff. I want to say that they've probably been they got frustrated with the whole situation towards the end of it. Like they've tried to make themselves look like, you know, they're trying to take care of Aaron Rodgers, and now they're trying to spin it as, oh, well, he's not being responsive. But unfortunately, in this situation, the Green Bay Packers have looked like absolute doofuses for the last year now, going back to when they traded up for Jordan Love, because it sounds like he hasn't looked too well going through practices. That's stuff that came out throughout the season. Aaron Rodgers just had an MVP caliber season. Honestly, like a career year for him at this point, the way you look at it when you break down the numbers. So, I mean, I have the feeling that Green Bay was probably behind this whole story finally leaking because they've been trying is what it sounds like, and they're just not getting anywhere with Rodgers, and maybe their frustration has finally boiled over. I mean, on top of that, what do they do now going into this draft? We're literally less than 3 hours away from the NFL draft. Where do you go from here? If this was the Packers leaking this, then it doesn't help them. So I don't know if it's them, but I almost feel like it was them because it seems like a team frustrated trying to make it look like they're trying to work with the player and he's being difficult. But that's not how this situation could have ever been spun, because Rodgers has been kind of like shorted the entire time the last year with Green Bay. And then on top of that, if it's Rodgers, I mean, man, has he put like his chips on the table and put Green Bay in a position, because at this point, with this coming out, we have 2 hours and about 47 minutes till the draft starts. Teams are going to see this. What if, I was watching ESPN and Dan Orlovsky brought this up. What if the Jets are just like, you know what? We want to try to put together a team, and, Aaron Rodgers, he's probably playing for at least another 5 years if he's happy. That's the way I see it. I think athletically and physically, he still has it. I think he can make it another 4 or 5 years for sure. If you're the Jets, you give them your 5 first-round picks you have going in from now until 2023. That sounds like a lot, but Matthew Stafford just went for 3 first-rounders. So what the hell are you going to give up for Aaron Rodgers? It's got to be 4 or 5 first-rounders. So if you're the Jets, you could do that. He does not have a no-trade clause. So, realistically, the Packers could deal him anywhere if the price is right. So another team like the Miami Dolphins, if they were willing to maybe send over Tua, I don't know if Green Bay's even interested in Tua, but you could package Tua with the 4 first-rounders that they have. There are teams out there that have the capital to move Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that he has no trade clause, this makes things really interesting. I was talking about this yesterday, and I should have pulled out my notes from the show on Monday. I talked about how much money it would cost to move him, but realistically, if they trade him, it's not as bad with dead cap money. You spread it over 2 years. It's really not that bad based off how his money works in his contract. I wish I had the exact numbers up or written it down here. I didn't think to do that, but it's a very strong possibility that Aaron Rodgers ends up being traded within the next few hours or so. Do I think it's going to happen? If I was to make a prediction, I would say probably not, but there is definitely a possibility that the 49ers just tried on Wednesday to call the Packers, and they straight up asked them, are you guys willing to move Aaron Rodgers? There was no formal offer put in, but they did ask. That was something that got reported earlier today, and we'll get into a little more detail with that later, but there is so many possibilities with this whole Aaron Rodgers situation, and I cannot wait to see what happens in these next few hours. I'm half nervous that I'm going to look over to my right here and something will have happened and I'll have completely missed it. I literally have Twitter up and open, and I'm just going to keep refreshing it every now and again to see if I'm missing anything. But just this whole situation with Aaron Rodgers has just completely exploded. I was talking a bit about it on Monday, and, feeling like the Packers just weren't committed to Aaron Rodgers, and it sounds like maybe after all of the, how upset they realized he was, they were trying to patch it up, but too little too late, man. Too little too late. What do you even do? Oh, man, I'm so glad I am not a fan of the Packers. How stressful. And they could have gotten so much for Aaron Rodgers earlier in the offseason. And it just doesn't make sense, because you go up and draft a guy like Jordan Love, but you're so unwilling to trade Aaron Rodgers. What the hell was the point of trading up into the first round for a quarterback last year if you were high enough to trade up for him, but you weren't high, or you're not high enough now to just send Aaron Rodgers off for a good price and then run with your first round pick? The whole thing does not make sense, and it almost feels like the Packers realize now we screwed up last year's draft, and they're scrambling to pick up the pieces. But good luck to them. I'm very interested in seeing how that turns out in a few hours. I wonder if he's going to get moved. That would be absolutely insane and breaking news for the draft. I would love to see a draft day trade tonight where Aaron Rodgers is getting moved to somewhere that needs a quarterback. That would be absolutely insane. As far as some